Hi everyone, thank you for joining us in this session for sugarcane optimization in Africa using Hexagon Agriculture Solution. I'm glad to be here and I'm glad for this session. So welcome, and I hope we can have good participation, active participation for this session, and at least at the end of the session we can uh, learn from each other. We can learn from you and you can learn from us as well regarding Hexagon Agriculture Solution. Let me start with introduction. My name is Musa Mishamo. I'm a sales manager for machine control and precision agriculture in Africa. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya, and I have 6 years of experience with precision farming systems and solutions. I have agriculture engineering background, uh, so I would like to invite my colleague Fabio to introduce himself as well.
For
Welcome,
sure.
Fabio.
Thank you. Good morning or good afternoon to all. Thank you for joining this session today. I'm a account manager, business developer within Hexagon Agriculture. I have over 20 years of experience in engineering, 8 of them in precision agriculture. I have a background in automation and control engineer and 10 years of R&D research as well. I'm currently based in Florianópolis, Brazil, south of Brazil, and I deal with the markets of Africa, Southeast Asia, Australia. So I hope that we can get a good webinar today with a lot of questions by the end. Okay. Today, my friend Musa will start the presentation, and I'll take over for the optimization solutions that we have designed and we are currently applying for sugarcane. Okay. See you soon.
Okay, thank you, Fabio. Thank you for your introduction. So let me start my presentation, the first part, and then Fabio will take the second part of the presentation. Uh, let's see a little bit of history of Hexagon Agriculture. Uh, Hexagon Agriculture was formed by the combination of 3 companies, the iLab Systems, Leica Geosystem, and Alvas. The iLab solution was established in 1999, offering the solutions agriculture planning software for strategic, operational, logistical, and industrial support. It was the unique provider for sugarcane market. The other company from Leica was Leica Geosystem Agriculture, established in 2003. So in 2003, Leica Geosystem was established, offering the high precision solution, machine control, positioning, guidance, and systems, with a strong presence in European growers. And the third company from the Hexagon Agriculture is Alvas Technology, established in 2004, uh, was offering the solution for complete portfolio of precision agriculture hardware, processes, and field monitoring software and solutions. Pioneer on grains and unmatched solutions provider for forestry industry in Southern America. So in 2015, Hexagon Agriculture was formed by uniting these 3 companies, Alvas, Leica Geosystems, and iLab. So currently it's called Hexagon Agriculture, um, offering the combination of all these systems in including software, hardware, for guidance, machine control, and monitoring as well. Um, so Hexagon Agriculture is working closely with a lot of industry players in agriculture, manufacturers of different brands of product, including tractors, harvesters, planters, and sprayers. Hexagon Agriculture is working with CNH, as you know, Kesa New Holland, Sea Valley, Jacto, these are big sprayer manufacturers, Metafol, Komatsu, Shark, Cameto, Ozestad, Ryzen, Yosef, Sant Marino, Adcargo, Guaran, Delta, MSF Sugar, and Plantenol. All of these companies, they're working very closely with the Hexagon Agriculture in providing precision agriculture solutions. Hexagon Agriculture solution can be used or installed to any brand of machine. We can say it's brand agnostic. So it can be installed to any brand of tractor, any brand of harvester, and forestry machinery as well. Hexagon Agriculture, we are established as a global leader in digital solution, and currently we have 2 offices in Brazil and 1 office in Spain, in Madrid, Spain, and other customers all over the world. So we work with other customers through dealers and agents as well in other countries where we don't have offices. So we have more than 25,000 equipment in operation, and we have dealers in more than 38 countries all over the world. We are involved in planning processes of over 46% of Brazilian sugarcane production. As we know, Brazil is a giant, has giant sugar producers in the world. So we are involved in the planning of over 46% of Brazilian sugarcane production. We support among small, large, and large grain growers in over 8 countries all over the world. And by the year 2019, we monitor more than 3.5 million hectares of planted forest because we have solution for forest industry as well. We serve more than 150 sugarcane mills in the world currently, and we are leaders of solution for forestry plantation in South America. So you can see we are working with a large group of people and giant producers in sugarcane and forestry. And we are serving, we have presence in many countries in the world. Okay, let us see the Hexagon Agriculture portfolio. Hexagon Agriculture has big portfolio, including planning and optimization, machine control, monitoring, analysis, and management. In planning and optimization, Hexagon Agriculture, we offer solution for planning during planting, harvesting, and logistics to support agriculture and forestry activities. So we have the platform for planting planning and harvesting planning. I think this part my colleague Fabio will go deep on this. We have the other solution in machine control. In machine control, we have a tractor auto steering system and application rate control solutions for fertilizer, herbicide, and other inputs, crop inputs. So we have solutions to control the amount of inputs used by crops. We have monitoring solution as well. We centralized real-time monitoring and control field operations. So we have monitoring solution to monitor the field operation from planting to harvesting. Every kind of operation can be monitored in one control room using Hexagon Agriculture monitoring solution. We have solution for analysis and management. This is intelligent analysis, management, and reporting of agricultural and forest operations. So using our solution, you can be able to analyze, to manage, and to report all of your operations during from planting to harvesting and other activities. So those are some of the Hexagon Agriculture portfolio we have. So let us see on tractor autopilot and guidance system for tractors and machinery. So we have the system called autopilot or auto steering system for tractor guidance and steering. This system helps to takes control of the steering of the tractor during operation. So there is no need for operator to engage hands during operation. The operator can just focus on other implement activities like plowing, planter, sprayer. So the system can take control of the steering. The system helps to avoid fatigue. So the operator is not getting much tired during operation because the system is taking control of the steering. At the same time, the system can help to increase efficiency and output. So you can get high work output using the auto steering system or autopilot, sometimes we call it. Even if the operator is not much experienced, can be able to perform work at high efficiency during planting, during spraying, raw forming, and other field activities because the system takes control of the steering. On the left-hand side, you can see, for example, the lines, they are very straight. So using this auto steering system, you can get good spacing. For example, you are making rows, you can get good spacing because the accuracy is very high. You're getting accuracy up to 2.5 centimeter. So this is very high accuracy during operation. So there is no skipping, no overlap during operation. For example, you are spraying, you can skip line and you can overlap lines during operation using Hexagon Agriculture auto steering system. So this is very good solution. It's very nice for operators for high output and efficiency. And for example, you can use it during planting and get good plant population at good spacing as well. So that is one of the, we can call it Hexagon flagship product in the sugarcane industry. And the performance is very good and is used by many growers around the world. We have solution for flow and rate application. You can do both section control and rate control during operation. When you want to do rate control, you can just create the prescription map, as you can see on the left-hand side here. This is a map of the field map. Is a prescription map. You can see some of the areas, there are red areas and green areas. So there are low potential areas and high potential areas. The red areas, they are low potential areas, and the green areas, they are high potential areas. So for example, you are doing fertilizer application. The system can apply the high rate in the low potential areas and low rate in the high potential areas. So there is no need to do uniform application of rates of fertilizer, for example, because the areas define requirement. Some of the areas, they are rich in nitrogen content, for example, and some of them they have less nitrogen content. So using prescription map, it can help you to save the amount of input, for example, fertilizer, herbicide. So you can use the right amount of input at the right place. So there is no need to apply uniform amount. For example, now we know the cost, the price of fertilizer has gone high in the world. So it's more important to save this amount of input during application by applying the right amount of input in the right place. So using this map, you can just load the file of the map inside the screen. This is called titanium screen. This is installed inside the tractor cab. So you can just load the shape file of your prescription map, and then during operation, you will apply the amount of inputs as required. So in some areas, you can apply, for example, 100 liter per hectare. In some areas, you can apply, for example, 80 liter per hectare during spraying. So according to the prescription done by agronomist, you can be able to apply the right amount of input at the right place. So using Hexagon flow rate and application control, you can be able to save the amount of input and then you can give the right dose to your crop according to the recommendation of your agronomist. So you can create a prescription map using different ways. You can get prescription map using satellite images. You can create your map using drones. For example, you can see here on the left-hand side, this is a prescription map created by drone. At the same time, you can do soil sampling to create this kind of maps by looking the nitrogen content in your soil. After creating this map, you just import inside the Hexagon Agriculture display, which is called titanium 5. We have titanium 5, titanium 7, titanium 10. So you can just import the shapefile inside the display, and during application, the system will apply the input according to the requirement and according to this prescription map. So you can do the same in spraying and fertilizer application at the same time. So we recommend farmers, including sugarcane growers, to use this solution because in the sugarcane farming, you can find some of the area they are high potential and some of the area they are low potential. So you can use such an image to draw, to make the boundaries, and to create the zones of the high potential areas and low potential areas. And then you can use Hexagon Agriculture system to control the input. So you can do at the same time, you can do saving, and also you can apply right amount of input as required by the soil or required by the sugarcane plant. So you can use these spreaders for fertilizer application. For planters as well, it's possible. For sprayers as well, you can use high precision, the precision planters and the precision sprayers to use flow rate and application control using a shapefile done by created using precision map, like using satellite image, drone system, or soil sampling. So this is one of the spreader, and can apply right amount of fertilizer at the right place according to the prescription map. As I said before, the accuracy of the system is very high. You can get accuracy up to 2.5 centimeter from in the guidance line, and we have a good satellite signals called Stellar Star, provided by Novatel, and they can give you good accuracy up to 2.5 centimeter. Some of the solution you can use base station, but at the same time we have satellite-based signals. So you can use either of the two. You can either use base station, or you can just use direct satellite signals for during operation. So in brief, Hexagon Agriculture, we have good solution for tractor auto steering, flow rate and application control to apply the right amount of input for your crop and your soil as well. So I would like to invite my colleague Fabio can take you through the part of monitoring, the monitoring solution. You can monitor sugarcane operation from planting to harvesting. At the same time, feel free to ask questions. You can just type your question on the chat box. You can type your question there, then we can have a Q&A session. Then I can respond to your questions. Thank you.
Sorry, Fabio, you were on mute. Thank you, Fernanda. So good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you, Musa, for your presentation. Was a very good presentation on the tools that we can use to increase the efficiency and the area usage on the land itself. Okay, what I intend to do with my part of the presentation is a broader view of the sugarcane plantation. And then I start with that, with the sugarcane challenges. Okay, we understand that there is more to that in terms of sugarcane plantation, sugarcane harvesting, than taking care of a single plot. So with that, I have this slide here that shows all the phases of sugarcane production that we are able to map. So it all starts with the variety selection for the land. It goes for land preparation, planting, what types of crop input you add to your plantation, the harvesting process, the transportation of the harvest that needs to be very tight with the harvesting, how much buffer that you have on your mill in order not to stop the processing of sugarcane or not to have too much there in order to the sugarcane to start to oxidize and to lose its quality. Here in Brazil, we have many challenges also in terms of sugarcane production or ethanol production. We are producing a lot of ethanol, and then there is questions that comes from, should I produce more ethanol? Should I produce more sugarcane? It all depends, of course, on the price of the commodities, the trends, but also on your plantation. And then challenges on the milling. So I have listed here some of the questions that most of the customers have and that our solutions addresses with optimization. Okay, so first question is, what type of sugarcane variety is the best one? Okay, how to guarantee that I'm preparing the land in the best possible way, and that's how we have the solutions for auto steer, variable rate, spraying controllers. How many machines are required to do all the planting operations or all the harvesting operations? Do I have enough machines? Should I purchase more machines? And if I purchase more machines, how that is compared with the manual cycle as well, or the manual harvesting that I have, or the manual planting in terms of cost? Which of them is more cost efficient? Which of them will bring more value to my chain? Okay, how to guarantee that crop input optimization?
Sorry, Fabio, for interruption. Can you check your screen again? Because we don't see, can see your screen.
Okay. Now is it okay? Can you see that now, or?
I can.
Okay. Other challenges for the harvesting process. When should I start my harvesting? From where should I start? How much sugarcane should I harvest today? How much sugarcane should I harvest next week in order to match with the milling capacity? Which harvester model performs best? You know, we have monitoring solutions that can be installed on those harvesters. And with that, the information that we extract from those harvesters in terms of hectares per day, how many times the machine has stopped, we can even add maintenance costs to those harvesters.
Sorry, Fabio. Sorry, Fabio.
Yeah.
I think people, they can't see your screen. I can see as well. Can you stop sharing and share again?
Is it okay now? Musa?
Not yet. Not yet.
Here it's okay.
I think perhaps you have a connection issue there, Musa. If Fernanda can see that, I believe that the screen is being broadcasted.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I see the same comment. Okay.
Okay. And then again, from harvesting, how to transport this sugarcane from field to factory? Okay. How many trucks do I need to execute this operation? We have solutions that optimize the transport as well. So we assume that we have information online coming from the harvesting fronts in terms of how many hectares per hour a certain harvester is doing. And if you combine that, let's say you have 10 harvest groups working in parallel, okay, you can create a pool of trucks, and this pool of trucks, they can go for any of those harvest groups. In this sense, you are able to optimize the transportation, or to use actually, in fact, less trucks for the operation. Okay. Again, we have also monitoring tools that can be added to trucks, and then again you can check the performance of those trucks. So which is the best truck in terms of cost, capacity wise, fuel consumption wise, maintenance wise. Should I produce more sugar or more ethanol? This is typical question for mills here in Brazil. What is the trend for that? How much, what varieties of sugarcane I have planted? How can I harvest them in order to pursue a certain contract that I have with ethanol producer or a sugarcane sale? Okay. And for that questions, we have dedicated software that can answer each of them. Today I have selected two softwares to present to you. The first of them is the planting plan, okay, that will show, or to have a scientific approach on how to execute in the best possible way with your resources, with your area, with your varieties, the execution of the planting. And I'm going to present also the harvesting planning software. Again, using your resources, using your area, how much or how should I have my harvest done in terms of schedule, in terms of area, and how much resources I'm going to use for that. Before that, brief words on our portfolio. Our portfolio is called Agron, and it mimics the PDCA cycle from a quality improvement, continuous quality improvement. So we have here solutions for optimization. They are in the plan phase, okay, harvest planning, planting plan. We have solutions for the execution of the task itself, and that's what Musa has presented. Auto steer, variable rate, monitoring also comes in here because we can check where the machine is and if the machine is doing what it was planned to do. Okay. We have the check, and that's typically the monitoring solution. Check if what the machines are doing in field is according to plan. And then all of this generates a cloud of data. Even the plan phases generates KPIs of how much areas I should do for today. The execution generates information of the machine positioning, the dosage, how much fertilizer I have used, how much area I have covered. The check here will give you, or the monitoring will give you information about alarms, breakage of machine, fuel consumption. And all of this information is then aggregated through our cloud solutions to generate a detailed report of what's going on in the field. And based on those reports, you can take action. You can see trends from the harvesting machines, you can see trends from the planting machines, and then from there, you can detect bottlenecks and improve your process or replan your process. And with that, you have a continuous improvement cycle done. So planting planning, that's the first solution I'm going to present to you. It all starts with the planting, right? So the planting planning, it's a software, okay? It's a software module. It can be installed on-premise or in the cloud. And it will map all the areas that you have available on your farm or your industry, okay, in terms of area, variety that was planted there, when it was last harvested, when this variety was planted. We also take into account variables like distance to the mill. Okay, this distance to the mill is important for the harvesting execution later on in terms of resources, mainly trucks. Okay, and what the system does is that you input some data for that. Okay, you also input your seedling information. So how much seedling in terms of varieties I have available to execute the replanting process. You map all the fit from those varieties to the lands that you have available. So do you have lands that are more fitted to a certain variety, or you have also varieties that are early harvest or post harvest or medium term harvest. They are all mapped. Okay. You input on this system also the growth curves for each of those varieties, and then the growth curve for each of those varieties according to the soil that it was planted as well. So if you plant a variety on a certain soil, you have a good fit. If you plant another variety on the same soil, perhaps it doesn't grow that well. So we map that all in terms of matrix in order for the software to have an overview of all what you have available in terms of variety, all you have available in terms of land, and also the software detects the trend for each of those areas. And depending on the capacity that you have for reform and planting, it will allocate or it will select the best areas to be replanted. Okay. The productivity curves of each of those varieties are also inputted there. The distribution of cutting fronts, that's also very important in the planting phase. Okay, on the planting phase, you already start to map how you're going to do your harvesting in order to have a continuous flow of the activities and to optimize the whole chain of events. The local operation restrictions can also be inputted here. Okay, so if you have areas that, for example, I want to do this replanting manually because the area is too, it's on a slope, something like that. Okay, I don't have machines to execute that. Or if I have a sugarcane producer that is supplying to me, but for any reason I want him to reform his area this month or this year, you know, you can add all those exclusions to the software. You can have also operational costs involved on each of those phases. So for a machine, how much a machine costs for running. If you have people planting there, how much people cost me in terms of daily operation. And also you can have mapped here your industry production goals. As I said, the variety selection is very important for that. Depending on how much you want to produce and how much is your milling phase. Okay, sometimes some industries, they want to produce more in the beginning because they have contracts to attend on those months. Some industries, they prefer to have it spread all over the milling process, but all of those adjustments can be done here on the software. And how does the optimization model runs? Okay, so as I said, it's a software. You input data there, and it's important to say now that we have consultant teams that work together with us. So let's say if you're a customer that acquires this solution from our end, you have full access to the software from your own. So you can do this programming by yourself, but during the sales process, we offer the consultancy as well, and we have a package of consultancy in the beginning. So our consultants will first create the scenarios, the previous scenarios for you, and later on we'll help you to first train you on the systems. You know, we'll help you to generate different scenarios, and we'll also under request help you to generate new scenarios for the future. Okay. It always starts with mapping of the production environments. Okay, so areas that you have there, how many areas, how far they are, which varieties are currently planted there, what is the plant harvesting for those areas in terms of tons per hectare, productivity curves for each of the varieties, and productivity curves for each of the soils that you are planting as well can be inputted. The adaptation of the varieties up to the or to the production environments, the ability of seedlings and nurseries, so how much seedlings you have available to execute, how much resources you have to execute, reform and replant in terms of tractors, in terms of people, how you want to do that monthly. Okay, any operating restrictions I just mentioned to you, and your strategy. Your strategy can always play a role inside the software. if you have something that you want to do and is not, let's say, optimal, but you still have to do it, you can plan that hard-coded on the software. The programming itself, what will happen after you input all this data? You select the criteria that you want to optimize, and then based on that, the software will give you a schedule for executing those activities. We'll give you a schedule per area, or we'll give you a schedule per machine, and we also give you a schedule in terms of how much you are going to harvest from this year on up to 3 or to 5 years ahead. You know how those activities will bond together in order, and how is going to be your output. The planting programming will indicate also the ideal varieties that you're going to plant on each of those areas. So first, you select which are the areas recommended for reform. We'll indicate you the ideal variety, and we'll give you a projection of production in terms of quality for each of the cultivation scenarios. So based on this solution, and there are already many customers that makes use of that solution, we have more than 15 years installing or selling this solution to customers, helping customers with planning solutions. We are able to detect that customer can have an advantage of up to 15% growth in its productivity when using planting plan software. And what is the best practice? So how you run this software? Okay, I mentioned to you, customer will have access to this software. He can use it as much as he wants to. Okay, if he wants to use it every week, that's okay. If he wants to use it before to generate scenarios, it's also okay. So how customers use that? So usually they do that on annual planning, considering the strategic premises for that year and the restrictions and resources that you have available. So you have a plan for 1 year, okay? But of course, when you go there to the field and you start to execute those tasks that were planned, there is always some deviations because of weather, because a machine broke and it was not taken into account. You were not able to hire enough people as you have planned, okay? So considering that, the algorithm can you can run the algorithm monthly basis as well. So what you do for that, you input what was already done in the field in terms of planning, and the algorithm will recalculate what is the optimum scenario based on what was done in the past. So you have a new planning for that. What it's also very useful, and I think personally it's one of the best features for this type of software, is to generate scenarios, what if scenarios. So what if I purchase more machines to execute those tasks? What is the impact on my planting? Okay, how much in terms of investment I'm going to do, how much I'm going to have as benefit in terms of cost. You can also use scenarios of crop failure, for example. Oh, a plague came to my crop, it took over all this area. What should I do now with this plague? There is a drought coming in. Okay, I'm planning for a drought. How should I play with my resources in order to have the optimum scenario in terms of reform and planting as well? You can also use that for new varieties that hit the market. You input the maturation curves for those new varieties in the system, and then now you can evaluate and compare with your current varieties what would be the effect of using new varieties in terms of ton per hectare that you're going to have when using new varieties. Okay, so all these scenarios can be optimized or can be generated when using this type of software. The results of that is getting clear, right? So the recommendation of the ideal planting strategy with the lowest costs. So which areas should be reformed? Selection of the ideal varieties to suit your constraints. Increase planning assertiveness, because now you have a scientific method to execute that. You don't rely now more on different person's opinion. You have a scientific approach with a software that is calculating your optimal scenario. The indication of varieties, places, and times for planting and expansion. Simulation of falls and production for the upcoming harvest cycles, and it optimizes planting planning year by year. So later on, I'm going to show you some screenshots of this solution. Okay, I'm going to go there very briefly, just for you to understand what type of reports that you can get out of this system. So input data, it all starts with your input data, registration of farms and blocks. They are mapped, as I mentioned to you, area, how far they are from the mill, which variety they have planted, how much they are performing currently. Maturation curves, they are all inputted in the system. Productivity curves, the classification of varieties or the varieties fit per environment, and the availability of seedlings. You later input your criteria and restrictions. So expansion planning, variety versus location compatibility, and logistical and resources restrictions that you have currently on your mill. This is the screen for registration of farms and blocks. They are all listed here. You can see farm per farm, the total area, the tonnage projected for each of those areas. A production estimate. So this is the current estimate for this cycle. Okay, we use that to understand how this particular block is doing when compared to other blocks. So and that we decides for the reform of that particular area or not. Productivity curves. As I mentioned to you, there is a productivity curve for each ambient or each soil composition. So the productivity curve for the first cut, the second cut, the third cut, you can see that how the productivity goes down, and it's all inputted here per variety and per soil composition. The classification of varieties, here is the matrix for the varieties fit in terms of area as well. So some of the varieties are early varieties, some of the varieties are medium varieties, some of the varieties are late harvesting. Okay, you can play with them together, and you also see the fertility, the flowering of each of those varieties in terms of soil composition. Here is a screen where you can add your restrictions. Okay, as I mentioned to you, there is the system optimizes your planting plan up a certain set of restrictions. So you can select a restriction of area, for example. On this particular area, I want to apply, or I want to plant only this type of sugarcane variety. You have also restrictions in terms of areas, okay, in terms of providers. If it's your own land that is being planted, if it's a third-party land that is being planted. If you have restrictions also in terms of production, in terms of resources, and so on, they are all programmed here. Here is the screen where you input your capacity for replanting those areas. So you have minimum area for replanting, maximum area. Your logistics capacity as well can be inputted here in terms of constraints. Varietal occupation and seedlings availability. Again, how much of each of the varieties that you have available there, they have available on your seedlings or your nursery. Okay. So how you're going to use all your seedlings in terms of planting. You can also put a target for each of those varieties. Okay, so this variety I want to use on maximum 15%. This other variety I want to use maximum 15%, and so on and so forth. The variety distribution. This is very important for your milling capacity later on. So I want to have, you can program the system to have, in this case here, it was early type of sugarcane, medium type, and then late harvesting. Customer here has selected a maximum percentage for each of those sugarcanes. So you have roughly one third of it for early type of harvesting, one third of it for medium, and one third for late. Okay. This way, during the harvesting cycle, you have a continuous flow of sugarcane to the mill. Scenario optimization, this is where it all happens, okay? After inputting all the restrictions, all the farm data, all the blocks information, resources, milling capacity, and so on and so forth, you go for the optimization of the scenario. Here is where the software will take into account all what you have programmed in terms of areas, in terms of restrictions, and will process that according to what you want to maximize as output. In this case here, you can say, I want to maximize my tonnage per hectare. The objective of the optimization is maximization, okay, increase tonnage per hectare. And the type of optimization is cost or cost of producing tons per hectare. Here I select all the fitments that I'm using, all the values or the maturation curves for the sugarcane that I'm using to generate the scenarios, and I process. And then here on the right, I select, and this is the most important one, right? The criterias, the restrictions that I want to apply. As I mentioned to you before, you can input several types of restriction. The top one here is the highest priority, and then the lowest ones, they will start to reduce their priority. And then here you can enable or disable a certain constraint and generate the scenarios. So what the software will do is to match all of this together with your resources, your capacity, your varieties, your nursery, and we give you a schedule of how the reform should be done. Here you can see an output of the system, one of the outputs, how well the system has managed to achieve your restriction. So here you can see 98%, 93%, 91%. Each of your restrictions, you have a report later on saying, okay, this particular one I was not able to fulfill. Number 8 here, I only match 5%. Number 7, your restriction was only 59%. But the top ones, the higher priority, I was able to match with your criteria of optimization. So 98%, 93%, and so on and so forth. The adherence to what was planned. So this is what you have planned to achieve, okay, in terms of tonnage per hectare. This is how much the software was able to give to you with your current status quo of your mill, and the variation here. The production projection that you're going to get year by year when following this plan, okay, and for all the areas as well. So for this current year, for the next year, and up to 6 years ahead here. Here is the operational programming itself. So here's the output of the system. Which reform should you do on which area, on which month, using which variety and which resource. So the system gives you a complete receipt of what should be done in terms of replanting of sugarcane. It gives you an overview of the varietal programming as well. So how much of each of those varieties here I have managed to achieve, or I'm going to plant this year or for the next years. And that's it, okay? So you can see that the software here it's very complete. There is a lot of information inside here, okay? But it's all coming from science base. So maturation curves, resources. This to be done manual or on a manual programming, there are many parameters that you need to take into account that only a software like this is able to generate to you, okay? Because it's comparing different parameters at the same time to give you the optimum output. So it's not only looking for your resources, not only looking for your milling capacity, it's not only looking for the nursery, but it's taking all those parameters together and it's optimizing that, what we call a linear programming, okay? So it's achieving the best optimal scenario based on all the constraints that you have for your plantation. And this is what I was talking to you was with regards to the planting itself. So there is similar solutions for the harvesting. So now I have a set of areas which are planted, and I want to execute my harvesting. Again, very similar approach for the harvesting software. The idea here is to map all the areas of the farm, all the varieties which are already planted there, how they are growing, how much they expect to give in terms of tonnage per hectare, the yield. Okay, you input here at this time criterias for harvesting. So how many harvesters machine do I have available? How many trucks do I have available? How many, if I'm doing manual harvesting, how many people I have, or how many harvest fronts I have available within my milling, within my company. Okay. And then with all of that together, considering how much you want to produce, your resources, your areas, the varieties, and the target, the system will, similarly to the previous one, match all those criteria together and generate you an optimal scenario for execution of the harvesting. What are the criteria this time? They change slightly, okay, with a different end goal. Now you're planning for your harvesting, not your reform and expansion, but very similar logic behind it. So the estimated production per area, the growth curves for each of those varieties, maturation curves for each of those varieties versus soil composition as well. If there is any restrictions in terms of climate, meteorology forecast that you need to add to your harvesting plan. Geographic distribution, why is that important? Because if you have, for example, trucks transporting that, you want to have a mix of areas which are a bit far away from the mill with areas which are very close by in order to have a continuous usage or continuous number of trucks operating during the whole harvest season. Harvest strategies, again, you can input any harvest strategy that you have. Okay, I have those areas which are very close by, they need to be harvested in the first month of my harvesting cycle. Okay. You can input also add to the system laboratory sample or field sampling. So it will add on the accuracy of our projection of the quality indexes that you are having from your sugarcane. And you can input also industry demands. Okay. So how much I'm aiming to produce month by month with my milling capacity. Or if I have a stoppage on the mill, program stopped, okay, this particular month I'm going to put down the mill for 10 days for predictive maintenance. You can input that into your harvesting optimization as well. And the purpose of it, the outgo, the optimal schedule for harvesting, area by area, okay, monthly, weekly, and daily, the projection of production and quality, especially not only tons per hectare, but the quality of all the raw material for the entire year. And you can do the same type of analysis that you are doing with the planting plan, you can do with the harvesting plan as well. So bottlenecks of my execution. Do I need more harvesters in my process? Do I need more people to execute what I want to be executed? All those analyses are possible with the software. And you run it the same way as the planting plan, okay? You run it on an annual basis. So before you start your harvesting crop, preparing the base for the whole year, okay, in terms of optimization. Once you plan that, the execution is not always like you have planned. So you replan that on a monthly basis or even weekly basis, depending on what types of restrictions you're having there in your field. And then you can run the software also sporadic for what if scenarios. What if I add a harvester? What if there is a drought here and I'm losing quality of my sugarcane? Should I harvest more area? Should I harvest less area? Should I wait it for next year? So all these answers are generated by the software. And the results, it's clear. Generating and optimizing harvest schedule, maximizing the productivity capacity that you have currently now, and what if I invest more on machines, for example. Agility in simulation in different scenarios. So here, if something happens, you can just come to the software and regenerate that. Typically, a scenario, optimization scenario takes 15, 30 minutes to be generated by the software. Exploration of maximum potential of the cultivated areas. Weekly harvest monitoring and reprogramming, if you wish to, and conflict analysis and process bottlenecks. Again, just a few registers of the screen here. I'm going to go very fast here because Very similar to the planting plan. Those are the screens for the harvesting plan now. It's a software that can be installed on premise or it can be installed on the cloud. We have, again, same staff available to support customers to generate those scenarios and to run the software. But our main idea is that customer has control over it and he can generate scenarios as much as he wants. Here is the mapping of all the areas, the varieties, the production estimate, again, for each of those areas. Quality parameters for the areas. For example, you can have quality of one variety, or you can have quality when this variety was harvested manually or machine harvested. They have different quality indexes that can be inputted to the system. And then, of course, will generate you different outputs by the end of the year. Criteria and restrictions. All of the areas can be programmed here. You can have restrictions for each of the areas. Here I'm displaying the restrictions in terms of production of the milling. So our milling capacity mainly. Local limitations. Again, if I want to harvest this particular area because I have an agreement with this producer, you can be inputted here. Or if I want to harvest a certain variety before, because this is how it was done in the past, and I want to keep on that by different reasons, okay, you can put here. The optimization also takes the same behavior, okay. You want to maximize for production in terms of tonnage per hectare. You want to optimize for sugar content, or you want to optimize for cost reduction. They are all scenarios that could be generated here. And then here on the right, you have all your restrictions in terms of priorities that can be switched on and off depending on the scenario that you want to generate. And then by the end, you have a production projection, okay? Considering all the restrictions, the match that I have generated with my software, how I'm going to harvest month by month, and what will be the total volume of that. And then, of course, you can even add here in terms of projection of sales, you know, how much this value of sugarcane will represent in sales for me, considering also quality parameters for this sugarcane. The operational programming, how should I do each of those areas? Should I do, I mean, the software will select to you depending on what you have available in terms of resources. If you should do it manual harvesting, if you should do machine harvesting for each of those particular blocks. Also, of course, when you're going to do that. You can have views of the variety allocation. So this is your overall varietal allocation month by month. The tolerance for the simulation, again, similarly to the planting plan, here you have all your restrictions that were planned for the simulation, and the software will give you a feedback on how much the percentage of those restrictions were achieved during this scenario optimization. The grip, how much you have planned in terms of production tonnage per hectare, how much the software is delivering you month by month, tonnage per hectare. And that's it, okay? This is the concept of our planting, our optimization, or some of our optimization tools, okay? That can be easily adopted by any mill now. As I said, all we need to start running those solutions is information about the areas, information about your resources. Typically, an implementation of a sale of a software like that takes 1 month up to 2 months, and then you are ready to go. I should say also that this is complementary. As I've displayed to you in the beginning of the call, we have an extensive portfolio of solution. Our end goal is to have an end-to-end portfolio. So we could integrate, for example, those planning execution with the machines. So now we have the machines operating in field. We are monitoring, we know what they are doing in the field, and we can add or we can track if this machine is behaving the same way I have planned it to behave. So execution of harvesting, the execution of planting, all of them can be monitored by our solutions in the field. And again, our display can do both monitoring of the trucks or the harvesters, and the part of machine control that was previously presented by Musa, auto steer, variable rate. This is all digital flows of information that comes to a central piece of software, which is our control room, where it adds all the KPIs from planning, all the KPIs from execution, and gives a full overview, time to time, or real-time information of what's going on your fields. And then some words about Hexagon. Okay, why this solution is different from our competitors. We have this end-to-end solution. We have experience on applying this end-to-end solution. So from strategic to planning to field automation, it's very important to say this is agnostic and it's modular as well. So you can have only the software planning types of solution, or you can have only an auto steer. It depends on the customer adoption of those tools. And then later on, you can integrate the information coming from them with our tools, but we are also agnostic enough to share our information or our digital information with third-party software as well. A single display can do it all. So you can do machine monitoring with the same display that you are doing auto steer. It's all cloudify platform. So all the digital information is available on our cloud. It can be displayed with our own solutions, or it can be displayed or shared with third-party solutions. And we have a technology center using Xalt framework. Xalt is a technology developed by Hexagon Corporate, which is intended to integrate to any communication protocol available on the market. So with that, I conclude my presentation. I hope you were able to absorb some of the knowledge. I understand that these optimization softwares, they are complex at the first time. Okay, there is a lot of information that I was sharing with you. But this is what we've been doing with our customers here in Brazil and different areas around the world in terms of sugarcane. And they have good numbers out of it. Okay, so we are able to help customers when adopting those solutions. So thank you. I think we can add now a question and answers moment for our presentation. Correct, Musa?
Yes, thank you, Fabio, for your presentation. Yeah, we can have a Q&A session now for question and answer. I think we have some of the questions in the chat box right now. So we have two questions. The first question comes from William there. Can the software be used in any crops, and what provision do you have for partnership with smallholder farmers in Africa? Yeah, Fabio.
Just a second.
Question from there, William.
Can the software be used in any crops, and what providing do you have for partnership with smallholder farmers in Africa? So this software currently is it's of course trimmed, it's customized for sugarcane. That's where we started with those softwares. Okay, up to 15, 20 years ago, we were very close by sugarcane producers. But depending on your crop and your requirements, yes, it can be trimmed for different crops. Okay, of course, we need to investigate that, involve R&D, and in the process.
Yeah, maybe in addition to that, still we have other solution for other crops. As I presented before, we have the auto steering solution. So you can use the auto steering solution to other crops like maize, planting, spraying, canola, barley, wheat, and other crops. So you can use the auto steering solution to other crops more than sugarcane. So it's possible to use the auto steering solution to other crops as well.
I can see the next question here as well. What is the optimum farm size to use these services? I'll say services will be the optimization softwares, right? So typically, the customers that benefit from this type of optimization are large type of customers. But for small farm holders, just like the question before, okay, there is different types of solution that can be applied from our end. Okay, we are currently in the process to partner with some companies to have data sharing from our displays to those companies, and those companies, they have solutions for smallholders, farmers. So you can expect that in a few months we are going to have some development for especially smallholder here. Okay. There is a question here if the software is accessible free. Okay. Because it requires a lot of programming here, so you have to input your database, your areas, and things like that. And honestly, on the first time that you run it, it requires a lot of support from our end as well in terms of consulting services. Okay, so no, the software is not available for free.
And a question maybe, if you have any question, we want to make this session more interactive. So you want your active participation. So if you have any question, you can ask it. We are here to give you answers. And also we would like to have some remarks from different countries, because we have here people from different countries, from Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Indonesia, Thailand, and other countries. So we would like to hear remarks from you as well. What experience with, according to your experience in your country, how do you see this software can help? Do you see any potential of using the software to to improve your planning, for example, in planting and harvesting?
So I will allow the mic for any participant now that wants to speak free. Okay, and if you have questions,
Yeah,
also
anyone who
make
want
it
to
free.
speak, anyone who want to speak, we can allow the mic for you, and you can give your remarks according based on your country. So we want to hear experience from different areas, because Fabio is from Brazil, but we want to hear experience from Africa as well. Experience in Kenya, Tanzania, and Nigeria, Ethiopia. How can you increase your productivity, your planning, and other things?
We have one more question in the chat.
Yes, Fernanda.
Would it be possible to show the data on production, and actual projection? I would like to know the predictability of the model. Let me see if I understand the question. I have some slides here that show what was the target in terms of production and how much you would achieve when the simulation. Okay. Okay, I think understood. So you would like to see how was the fit, in terms of the simulation, how much you have achieved later on. So the predictability of the simulation. The predictability is fairly good. Okay, I can say, of course, is not always 100% because we count a lot on values of maturation curves and things like that. Okay, but depending on the quality of the information that was programmed there, the fitment is roughly good. Okay, roughly good. I'll say plus minus 6-7%. And there are ways to improve this accuracy as well. So in our software, we are using only fixed curves for maturation. Okay, but there is partners of ours that can have projection of harvesting or production yield in terms of satellite systems, satellites, modeling, and weather forecast. So they combine all this information together. And if we put that information together in our modeling for the harvesting execution, you have first, from one side, an harvesting operation, which is optimized. And from the other side, the projection of the yield or the projection of the production, which is also very accurate. Okay. Not sure if I answered the question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. What are the options available for telemetry for rural farm states with poor internet connectivity? Yeah, this is a good question. Okay, as you can see, all of our information or monitoring activities, they rely basically on communication. Okay, but there are options for communication. Some of them, like satellite type of communication, is still a bit too expensive for small farmers and standard applications, but the price trend for satellite communication is going down. So we expect that in a short time frame, satellite communication will be used more and more for remote areas. Okay, we are currently using on some specific applications, but as I said, it's a bit too expensive. And I should say also that our system or our display, it stores all the information. So even if you don't have communication available, the system there, the display is storing the logs internally. Okay. So by the end of the day, if you want to monitor and third-party execution, for example, you can orientate this third party to extract the information from that day or from that week, via a USB stick. And then you can upload all this information to our platform and process this information accordingly. Currently, a lot of pulp and paper customers from us here in Brazil are doing that because they are operating in very remote areas where there is absolute no connectivity, but still the pulp and paper industry wants to check what was done there in field in terms of machine usage, in terms of the quality, in terms of area that was covered. And the industry requests their contractors to upload this data for them. Would it be possible to plan and predict full consumption of sugar meal from byproduct, such as sugarcane leaf or bagasse? Full consumption of sugar meal. I'm not sure if I understand that question. Can you reformulate that, please? I'll go for the next one meanwhile, okay? What satellite remote sensing solutions are available from Hexagon for African farmers, and what are those solutions entail? So currently, on our portfolio from agriculture, we don't work with direct remote sensing technologies. We do that from different branches within Hexagon. For example, Hexagon Geospatial, they have satellite platforms that can add information to customer via smart maps. Okay. In terms of remote sensing, again, we are partnering with different companies around the globe in order to have it available in our portfolio as well and integrated to our solutions.
Yeah, maybe in addition to that, regarding remote sensing, Leica Geosystem, I think most of people, they know Leica Geosystem is part of of Hexagon. So Leica Geosystem is part of Hexagon. So we have a lot of Leica receivers, GNSS product for their satellite-based solutions. We have receivers, we have mobile mappers, so they can do remote sensing works. And also we have total station as well. But for GPS-based or satellite-based solutions, we have receivers and like rovers and base station, so they can do the same work for surveying and other works for remote sensing part. And in farming operations, we have satellite signals as well. We have Telestar, provided by Novatel. So Novatel is one of the big companies in the world. So they provide satellite-based signals for operations. As I told you before, during operation, if you don't have base station, you can receive satellite-based signals, and still you can do your operations. You can get up to accuracy of 2.5 centimeter using Telestar signals. Yeah, thank you. we would like to hear some remarks from some people. Let me maybe choose some participants to give their remarks based on their country. Let me start with, I can see my brother is there, Gilbert Gabriel, my brother Gabriel. Can you hear? Can you hear me?
I
I
can
would
hear
Yes,
you.
like
Musa.
to, yes,
Yes,
Gabriel,
Musa.
you can, yes, Gabriel, you
Yeah,
can give
thank
your
you, Musa and
remarks.
Fabio for a good presentation. I've been a bit tight with something else, but I've been following as well. I'm sure we'll have more chats after this as well to understand based on sugar production. As you all know, sugar production company that we are growing more than 20,000 hectares of sugarcane. So like a lot of monitoring issues in our state. We also are having irrigation system with center pivot system. I'm sure Musa, you know that.
Yes, yes.
More than 160 center pivot systems, which we looking at a system that will assist us to optimize the use of the center pivots. I meant to contact you later after this, but maybe I don't know if you can also provide a system that can assist us to monitor, especially these irrigation systems of center pivot system. But yeah, that's mainly I can say. But otherwise, thank you very much for a well presented presentation, which can add a lot of value to the sugar mills, especially the farms. Yeah, sure. I would like to contact you guys after this, so that we can see what else you can assist us in our sugar estate.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Gabriel. We believe we can offer you this solution for monitoring because you have a lot of blocks to monitor in planting and harvesting as well. So thank you. That is Gabriel from Tanzania. He's working at Kagera Sugar Limited, one of the biggest company in Tanzania. Let's hear some remarks from the other guy. I can see my friend Gezan is there as well. Gezan from Ethiopia, you can unmute your mic and give your remarks. As now, Gezan has been working in Wonji and Metahara in Ethiopia. Gezani, can you unmute your mic and give some remarks? How do you see this monitoring solution that can help improve your planting planning and harvesting planning in Wonji, Metahara, and Fincha, some of those sugar companies in Ethiopia? Gezani, are you there? Gezan? Okay, I think Gezan is still on mute. Let us hear maybe remarks from other guys. I can see Frederick is there. Frederick is working in Dangote, Savannah Sugar Estate in Nigeria. Frederick, how do you see the solution? Can it improve your planting planning and harvesting planning as well?
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. My own concern here is mostly on the preparation of the land before planting. So I want to know much more of how effect or how the equipment can be used in making the land to be suitable for, mostly in Savannah here we use surface irrigation. And in doing that now, one, I want to know what exactly is the slope percentage we're supposed to be using uniformly. That's one. Then two, how can we be able to get those equipment in order for us to use it to prepare the lands here in Savannah?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Freddy, for your question. Thank you. I think Freddy is the land preparation manager in Savannah, so he's more concerned in land preparation. Fred, we have some of the solution for land preparation. We have laser solutions for leveling from our part of the company called Leica Geosystem, and they can be used for land leveling to level the land. As you know, you can just create the map of the field, and you can survey the field to create. You can design the field according to you want for kind of irrigation you have. You have like surface irrigation or pivot irrigation. So the system has cut and fill function to be able to give you the desired profile for your land during land preparation. At the same time, we have, as I presented before, we have the autopilot system for low forming. You can get your rows in straight line after plowing and harrowing. So you can read your row, or you can create your rows in straight line using the autopilot system, and you can be able to do planting very well. So the most solution here in land preparation, we have the laser and GPS system for land leveling from part of our Hexagon company called Leica. So we can design your field, and you can be able to do cut and fill system during leveling. I'm not sure if I've answered your question as you expected, but that's those kind of solutions we have in Hexagon land leveling and auto steering system for land preparation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Fred from Nigeria. Do we have one other question from the chat?
We have. I just answered Ta here, but GJ Olivier. In South Africa, it seems that most commercial farmers are not very receptive to the use of satellite imagery in their farming practices. What are your experience with this in Brazil and other African countries? I'll say more, even more in global. I'll say overall, the technology it's still evolving. You know, all technology is still evolving. Satellite, it's evolving on a daily basis. Okay, there is a lot of information that you can use in terms of satellite information like area, NVDI processing, but I'll say also that there is not only one solution that will sort all the problems. Okay, so typically what you need to do is combine different solutions together. So satellite imagery, yield maps, soil sampling, modeling, in order to achieve the best results possible. Okay, so yes, I understand. Yeah, there are customers also in Brazil, there are customers in different parts of the globe which are still very skeptic to this satellite based imageries. But as I say, this is only part of the picture. When everybody starts to put all the information together, I see personally a big potential for those types of platforms. Okay. Hope I have answered.
Any other question or remarks? If you have any comment.
No, not from my side. So if there is no more questions, I think we are on time already. So we scheduled for 1.5 hours. We are just in time. Very good. From my perspective, I would like to thank everybody. As I mentioned, by the end of my presentation, I know that sometimes it looks very complex, especially the optimization tools. And I'm happy to join any of you that would like to have more information on those platforms or on those softwares. So we can deep dive and do live demos on the software. We can even compare results that we have achieved in field, you know, case by case, and talk about it. Okay. Thank you.
So thank you everyone for joining. I give you my thanks for joining this webinar. And on the chat box, I've given you my email. It's mishamo.musa@likeagersystem.com. So you can reach out to me at any time. We can give you more details regarding the Hexagon Agriculture solutions. We can even schedule other presentation for you, maybe separate if you want specific for your company. So don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any question or concern, and we can give you more details regarding these solutions and how we can work together and how we can improve your operations in your mill. So thank you for joining, and thank you for your time, and I wish to speak to you soon and keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you again from my side. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.